So how many of you here have actually heard me speaking before? Wow. So it's the home crowd, right? Okay, guys. Hi, I'm Anubhav. I have been roaming around the entire day wearing this card, which reads speaker and organizer. So you might have seen me on the website. I'm listed as an organizer. I don't do much really. I just give around orders and people listen to me. Yeah. So that's me, and I'll be speaking on AI for web and web for AI. A little introduction to me. These are a few things which I do sometimes. She already spoke about me, so I won't. I'll quickly just skip this. Yeah, can anyone guess like why is the topic, like the topic is a bit weird if you, like how many feel it's a bit weird? AI for web, web for AI. No one? So probably you all understand why the topic is around. So can anyone tell me like why is the topic, like why are we speaking about this? Why am I speaking about this and you guys are hearing?
They both should complement each other. Web and AI.
Because no one talked about it. And the code credit actually goes to me, 2019. So let's begin at the roots of web and AI, right? So web and AI are two things which are pretty much very different, right? A web developer guy, he won't think about ML, and the ML guy won't actually think about web development, right? So they are two very different roots. Let's see the roots which they have, and at this point of time, they are mutually independent. So can you just read this paragraph very quickly? You can just look at the bold text. So it talks about a tele-electroscope. It has a limitless distance, and the globe made visible to everybody. Can you guess what this is talking about? It's talking about a system of connected devices all over the world on which you can transfer data audibly. Everyone can hear. It's a telephone network, right? It was written in 1904 by a very famous author, Mark Twain. And this was the first prediction of networks that we had. And there is no mention of any kind of intelligence or any kind of AI in this. So we can see when people actually thought about network or web in a very general sense, in a very basic ground root sense, they had no idea that AI or machine learning would be coming to it one day. Can anyone tell me what is this? Anyone? Any guesses? For a hint, this is related to Greek mythology. So, no. So there's a lady here named Europa. You might have heard this name. There's an island named Crete, and Europa lives there. Somewhere on the island she lives. And there's this guy looking like a warrior who is actually circling around that island all the time, right? So in a day, he makes 3 rounds of that particular island. That is pretty much like a robot, and that is the first mention of artificial intelligence that we have in Greek mythology. So Talos was actually a robot which used to make rounds of that particular island to protect Europa, who was Zeus's wife. And that was the first reading of automation that we have in history. And he used to throw rocks at people. Like whenever sailors came in, then he used to throw rocks at them. He could not differentiate between people who are good and people who are bad. He just saw people are coming in through the port, throw rocks at them. And that's an example of a bad AI. Right? Your AI should be smart. We don't want your AI to kill everyone. Right? So these are very different roots from where AI came in. AI has no mention of any network, right? It just has a mention of a machine which could think. It was actually a bronze kind of machine, which Talos was. He was made of bronze by the history. So the first time that we actually talked about the mutual dependence of web and AI was when we came to semantic nets. So anyone has any idea about semantic nets? Ever heard of semantic network? How many people are BTech graduates here? Okay. So did you study a semantic network in your subjects? It was a small topic, but it was a big leap for people in web and AI. So in 1950, this person started talking about semantic networks, and at that time, the computers which we had were almost as powerful as a wristwatch. Today, the smartwatches that we have, even lesser powerful. So at that time, she started talking about semantic networks, which could be used for machine translation. Now that's not a simple thing to talk about at a time when you don't even have a computation power enough to maybe do a single translation, right, of a single word. So she was very much ahead of her time, and for 20 years this lady fought to say that semantic networks is a thing which will be there in the future. People did not believe her. Her project, the CLRU, which she set up, after 28 years of operation, it was shut down and it could not come back again. So people did not believe in her. And guess what? You see this thing in the textbooks. You always see this in the textbooks these days. You did not see it in those days when she was advocating it. And then we come to ELIZA. So how many of you know about ELIZA? And how many of you know about ARPANET? ARPANET, anyone? ARPANET. So a few of you, like you may raise your hand high. It's a thing to be proud about. You know ARPANET. The first version of internet that came along in the world, it was called the ARPANET. And what was ELIZA? ELIZA was a chatbot, yes. So ELIZA actually became quite popular in the ARPANET. It was being used as a toy by a lot of people, and that was the year 1965. So I hope you can read this text. It says that, hey, I'm depressed much of the time. And ELIZA replies, I'm sorry to hear you are depressed. So this particular chatbot, it was pretty much like a human. If you read the answers here, you'll feel that they seem to be coming out of a human. And obviously, ELIZA wasn't in this particular nice UI like an iPhone, because at that time, systems did not have nice design. So Ritvik is our lead designer for GDG Kolkata, and he said this about that particular thing, which I'm going to show you now. So this is what ELIZA actually looked like. And it doesn't look very cool these days. But when you saw the first GIF which I showed you, don't you think that is very much similar to what we use these days? Right, the Google Assistant, Siri, or whatever that may be. But people did not take this much seriously. However, a lot of people started working on chatbots. But at that time, when ELIZA was made, it was pretty much rule-based. This particular pattern will come in, and this particular values will be matched, and the particular output will be generated. It wasn't still AI, but people were trying to mimic AI. In the web, these people were trying to fake AI. We had already started understanding the importance of AI on the web. And then came Stanford's SUMEX-AIM. So we actually missed out on a speaker in this particular event, Dr. Parikshit Sanyal, who was supposed to be here. And he was going to talk about AI in medicine. So when this paper came in, the SUMEX-AIM, so it talked about the importance of a network and how we can use a network to gain a lot of data which can be used to build predictive models for medicine. That was the first time we started thinking about it. It was 1973. How many people at that time were even born in this room? How many of you were born then? So at that time, people were thinking about mixing medicine and the internet and machine learning, right? So what they did on the ARPANET itself, it's still the ARPANET time. So on the ARPANET, they set up this 64 nodes, and on the 56th node, we had the SUMEX-AIM server, and It was collecting information, medical information from the rest of the computers on the network, and it was using them to create a data set, and using that it was creating a machine learning model. So at this point of time, some sort of partnership has been established that yes, the internet can be used to harvest data and use that to build predictive models, get a lot of data at a single time. So this is what the journal looked like, and if you look at this image, it pretty much tells you what's happening. There's a human who is having these stethoscopes, he is a doctor, and actually I look at this picture as a masterpiece, because whoever made this conveyed the entire idea of SUMEX-AIM in just one image. So probably that designer was much like our Ritik, who does that for us. And finally, from the father's pen, the father of internet. So when he wrote about the semantic web roadmap, which you can actually Google and read about, so he set the definition of having a semantic network on the web and using these rules to establish the relation between information on the web, which is displayed on the pages, and people like crawlers, the machines, they go there and they try to pick up this data, they try to determine what kind of word they are talking about. So why is it needed? Anyone can tell me why do we need a semantic network on the web? So a simple question here. If I tell you to search, or maybe just take out the article about cricket on Wikipedia. So what is cricket? Anyone, what is cricket? Guys, come on. It's an insect. Right? So when a machine is coming to a web page and it reads the word cricket, it does not know what does it mean, right? उसको नहीं पता ये क्या है. What does cricket mean here? So how do these crawlers they know that कौन सी cricket की बात चल रही है? So what they do is that they have these semantic annotations which are used to establish the relationship between the word and what it points to in a context, right? And that's on Wikipedia. You can actually have an entire Wikipedia article about semantic web roadmap. This article was so important that it has an entire article about it. How many of you belong to IIT Gadia here? So that's my college, more popularly known as Netaji Subhash Chandra Singh College. No, you can find it on Wikipedia, it's there. We are known as IIT Gadia. So this is how it looks like. Now look at these people, Paul Custer and then Dresden. So Paul Custer is a person, you can see the schema.org/person, and then Dresden is a place, right? So this is how you're going to establish the relationship between a particular term or a word or a phrase to what it could mean by assigning it a schema which is available on a standard website, right? There are standard settings, organizations which put up these schemas and we use them in the form of graph. So this is where we come into a place where we are not even talking MySQL or relational databases right now. We are talking about a graph database, because if you have all this lots of information, because there can be like millions of schemas available, so how do you connect between them? That's where we come down to the concept of graph database. And let's just see a cute graph. I hope it's visible. You see the big blue blob here? Most likely the down one. It's written google.com there. So that's the amount of impact google.com has on the internet. This graph is actually the map of the internet, the entire internet. And just above that we have Facebook. And can anyone tell me what does that one mean, that blue blob in the distance? Can anyone guess what it might mean? So you just think about the biggest top 10 websites or something. So what could that be? So I'll tell you, I have talked about it a lot in this talk till now. Wikipedia, right? And this is where we come then. When we have graphs, we need something or an automated system to cover these graphs, to reach from one point to another, and we talk about crawlers. Now look at the subtitle here. It says web as the fuel of AI. How many people agree? Web is the fuel of AI. Okay. So this happens in 2000 that a lot of people are making all sorts of crawlers. You have Yahoo, AOL, Bing, Google. Everyone is competing, right? There are also meta search engines. So they sort of collect information from other places. And the search engines, they collect information themselves using their own crawlers. Can anyone name one crawler? कोई famous crawler, नाम बता दो. Googlebot, yes, who was that? Okay, thank you. So Googlebot is used by, yep. So this is not what a crawler looks like. This is actually a meme from Harry Potter. This is a better picture for a crawler. So crawler on a graph of internet. Think of this, each website has certain amount of outbound links. What do I mean by outbound links? When I click a link, it goes to a different website, right? And what is an inbound link? There's a link on another website which comes to my website, right? So that's an inbound link. So this is what Google used to build its backrub, right? So when it made the backrub, what was the main core of it? That there are backlinks or the inbound links which kind of tell us about how important a website is. People at that time were just using outbound links or the text on the page to determine the importance of a particular web page. But Google came up with this idea that we should actually put it all in a graph and we should just do, go forward and then come back and then determine the value of a web page. And we know how it worked out for Google. We all know that, right? Coming to more standards. So the father of internet set one roadmap and someone then finally made it official. So that's when we came to OWL, the Web Ontology Language. So it kind of defined all these schemas which are used these days. The RDF. Anyone heard of RDF? RDF. You might have gone through RDF if you are trying to bring out a lot of data from some website like Wikipedia dumps. Yep. So Wikipedia dumps are in RDF format. And there's a number of these in which you can write. OWL has its own syntax. OWL is actually in stage 2 now. It was OWL 1 and then finally OWL 2. So ontology means the state of being something. But we are still talking about maintaining a context on a word. Each word has a context. Cricket, context क्या है? Right? So this OWL is used to set the context to a particular word in any given text or any given metadata on the internet, right? And this is how we are today. These days, what is AI being used for in your websites? Assistance, ads, security. So what do we talk about assistance? What do we understand by assistance? Jarvis, Siri, or Cortana, right? So all of these are kind of work through the internet. If you don't have the internet, they might not work. Some of them might do. So recommendation systems, so if a person buys something of a certain amount, he might be willing to spend it again on something else. So we know a person who actually bought. So he might have bought the other one too. He could have. Anyway. And security. No, this is not something to laugh about. We have covered a very large journey to come here. Right? So how do we look ahead in this? Any ideas? How do we look ahead in the collaboration of AI and web? Anyone? Yes, sir? Sorry? Okay. So that is kind of happening these days. Okay, that is pretty much interesting. So I'll just quickly make a very bold three predictions here. How many of you believe this could happen by 2025? Raise your hands high. I just want to know how correct I am, or people feel I am. Okay, so I have a few supporters. Thank you. Network log streams ready for predictions. So, not just network logs, in fact, system logs as well. Any kind of device which is running internet will produce logs which are almost ready to be fed into a prediction model. How many people believe in this? Thank you. And internet-based antivirus services for physical as well as virtual devices. What do I mean by virtual devices? Anyone? Cloud. Exactly. So do you think this would be? Raise your hands quickly. Okay. So I'm kind of giving you business ideas, guys. So how many of you are interested in startups? Do people believe in this? Inline AI models, what could they be? Inline AI models. So right now, whenever we have a login system, we kind of have our predictive model residing separately. But what if that actually comes to the languages we are using for scripting the web backend? Could this be? Yes. How many people believe? Okay, a few. And then finally, auto logins into web applications with weaker authentication systems by faking browser cookies and sessions. Could this be possible? How many people here know about MD5 hashing? The students, MD5 hashing. A lot of you. So can it be broken? Sorry? Okay. Okay, how many people here have like kind of studied security, ethical hacking? A lot of people are interested in that. There's one. This one? So there's a thing called rainbow tables. Has anyone heard of that? A few. So rainbow tables, what it does, it tries to predict what might be the text that is going in and what might be this the particular text which is used to produce a particular MD5. So when you are making an MD5, you actually have the main string and you append to it a certain string which is used to generate that MD5 so that it's not the same as when you do not. Right? So if you're not adding anything to the string, so it's pretty much waste because it will be broken. But if you're adding a string to it, then even then it's not that secure. So there are rainbow tables which are used to predict that part of the text. Right? So obviously the computation power is increasing and AI is getting smarter every day. How many people believe that after some time we will be using AI to generate rainbow tables and be breaking into security? Okay. So that's pretty much what I had to say about. No questions. Anyone questions? I did a lot of things here. Yes?
But I am a SE expert and who are optimized. Yeah, how can I when something tools in this like Google must tools, such tools which predict user behavior in task places. So in case of how can I predict the user query in the future? How can I predict the user query in the
So I guess that is pretty much kind of regression problem. Like if you have a lot of users which are using your search, then you might come up with like if a person is searching about say say virtual class in C, right? After that he is searching about, say, constructor in C. So you know that they are going to search around that very reason because that is the kind of user he is.
Because there are certain things to it, like the right to. Suppose I write a content about 1,000 words about how my dog, about a red ball. Okay. Then there is certain aspects by which means like predict, initiate, like text block, that will cover the search results. So if there is AI, content marketers like us can
So I'm not actually able to hear you well from there, but what I'm understanding is that you are trying to predict what a user might type based on what kind of user he is. So
there's a tool, certain tools in the way that like there are one of the tools called right.io. One is called Anubhav. That's the there are certain tools available which predict the number of words which takes the input the blog code that user will search and come to the web.
So I really don't know about these tools, so I don't think I'm very well equipped to answer about them. I'll have to see what they are using currently, and based on that, I might be able to answer your query. Thank you. So guys, that's me. You can find me on these channels. So you just go to anywhere and just type in this random 4-character letters. So it's XPRILION for some reason. So that was all about me. Thank you.